We're finally going to answer our last question here. I'm going to really take my time with this question just to make sure that we all understand it. So of course, in an exam situation, you would want to answer it a lot quicker, but it's a bit of a head scratcher. So I want to make sure that we take our time and everyone gets it, and make sure to reach out if this doesn't make any sense. All right, let's read it. It says, in 2020, 1,536 kilometers of highway is expected to require no maintenance. Perfect. Of these kilometers, what percentage is expected to have had no maintenance in 2019? Round your answer to one decimal place. It's always good to read the question twice. In 2020, 1,536 kilometers of highway is expected to require no maintenance. Of these kilometers, so the 1,536, what percentage is expected to have had no maintenance in 2019? Round your answer to one decimal place. So I've highlighted all my key information here. Let's now just take a moment to consider the dates that we're dealing with. We're dealing with 2019 and 2020. 2019 is going to be S1. And we've already calculated that matrix. We'll come up here, and as you can see, 2019, S1, it's all of these values here. So let's just write those down. So we're going to write these down. This is 460, 390, 360, 1,490. We close that off. Now, obviously, we're after, those that have had no maintenance in 2019. We're looking at this 1,490. We are also interested in 2020. So 2020 is obviously going to be S2. How can we find S2? Well, you would simply come here, change this 4 to a 2, and that's going to go 429, 383, 352, 1536. And hopefully you can see that we actually didn't need to do this calculation because this number here is given to us there. This is how much is going to require no maintenance in 2020. Okay, amazing. Now, we need to take a second to actually understand what this question is saying to us now, because we've kind of written everything out here. You didn't actually have to write out the matrices like this, but I feel that it's helpful as we're just learning to have done this. So what is it asking of us? It's saying, of these kilometers, what percentage is expected to have had no maintenance in 2019? So of this number here, how much of this number had no maintenance in 2019? Well, this is how much had no maintenance in 2019. So how much of these kilometers contributed to this number here? That's what it's asking. Because obviously we know that, each of these contributed some amount to 1,536. In order to answer this, we're going to have to go and look at our transition matrix and figure out, what's the red line going to be? We do not care about the orange lines. We do not care about, how much G, so how much the G1 contributes to the no maintenance or the R or the S. We don't care about how much these contribute. We want to know how much of this one, of the no maintenance, contributed to that one. What percentage is expected to have had no maintenance in 2019? All right, so let's come and look at our transition matrix here. We'll just clear the board here. So what we're after is we're looking at, and I'll grab a highlighter, we're looking at this one right here. So we know that if G happened to it this year, well, 50% of G will be N this year. 70% of those that were resealed this year will have no maintenance next year. 80% of those, this was resurfaced. 70% of those that were resurfaced this year will have no maintenance next year. 80% of those that were sealed this year will have no maintenance next year. And then importantly for our purposes here, 50% of those that had no maintenance this year will have no maintenance next year. So as we come down here, we don't care about all these orange lines. All these orange lines correspond to, if I come here, all those orange lines corresponded to these numbers here. And we don't care about those numbers. We care about how much no maintenance last year is going to continue to have no maintenance the year after. So what we want to figure out here is, and I'll grab a pen, is 50% of this is going to contribute to this right here. So 50% of this number is going to continue to have no maintenance the next year. So what we need to do here is say, well, what is 50% of 1490? So we'll come here and we're going to go 0.5 times 1490. So that's the calculation you want to do there. I'll write that out. I went 0.5 times 1490, and that's going to be equal to 745. So that 745 is going to be, how much this goes on to there. Now, this is where you need to read the question again carefully. This is what makes this question a bit tricky. It says, in 2020, 1,436 kilometers of highway is expected to require no maintenance. Of these kilometers, so 1,536, what percentage is expected to have no maintenance in 2019? So it now wants us to give us the answer as a percentage, and it wants us to say, 745 out of 1,536. That's what it wants us to do. And of course, to get this as a percentage, you'll then have to times by 100. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to go 745 divided by 1536 is that. And then I'll times that by 100 and get my answer like that. So my answer will be 48 point. Now I need it to one decimal place, so 0.5. That is going to be my answer. 48.5%. All right, again, I know that's a bit tricky. Let's look at the examiner's report and analyze this a bit more. Oops, let me just get rid of this. All right. So as we can see here, 17% of people got this correct. 48.5% was the answer. This question was not answered well, with most students giving 97%, which did not account for the 0.5 change. All right. Why did so many people write 97%? The reason why they wrote 97% is because what they did is this, and I'll write here, this is incorrect. They took 1,490 from 2019 and they divided that by 1,536, then times that by 100. And when you do that, you get 97%. But that's not correct, because what this is saying is like all of 1,490 is going to not be maintained the next year. But that's not true. 1,490, only 50% of that will not be maintained the previous year. And of course, the reason why this number is so big is because, as we spoke about before, those orange lines, are also contributing. So all these other numbers are also contributing to this no maintenance as well. So that's how we're getting that. So that's kind of the thinking behind this question. A tricky question, but hopefully I've explained this very slowly. It's now exactly 8 minutes since I started this video. So hopefully by going through it slowly, you've gotten a good appreciation. But of course, I've gone through this very slowly. You wouldn't want to take this long in an exam to answer one question. You would want to put an asterisk next to it and say, oh, I'm not quite getting this. I'll come back to this at the end. But hopefully, by going through it very slowly here, you feel comfortable with this question now.